Today we're here at Small Schools Fun Day. 7 of our 10 K-8 campuses are here. Almost 200 students from all over the conference came today to just have a lot of fun playing different games led by Pastor Doug Mace. And they had a lot of fun playing, but they also got to meet new friends and see how big our conference is. A lot of our small schools are just maybe 20, 30 students. So it's fun for them to be able to be a part of something where you've got almost 200 people. So it's a great opportunity for our kids to have fun, make new friends, and we just love seeing them and their smiling faces.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our very first Media Monday. I am Andrea King, and I am the Communications and Media Director for Southeastern California Conference, and I want to welcome all of you. We have people watching both from YouTube and from our Facebook page, and so we welcome you. And for those of you who are watching, we invite you to like and share. As a matter of fact, this is a good time to let us know where you are watching from. If there are some churches out there, go ahead and tell us the city and tell us the church that you are watching from. We want to welcome you all. And I see Pastor Wilson out there. And so good afternoon, Pastor Wilson, good to see you. And I would love to see who else is in the house today. So go ahead and type in your church, type in the city, and let us know that you are ready to rumble. We are ready to do our very best as we are sharing the gospel. I see Pastor Bologna, and I have to give him a shout out because he is one of the pastors who said, listen, can you please bring Jamie Dom? And so I want to give him a shout out. And so I see Pastor Kazar. I see Pastor Mikkel. We see Elder Wayne. Hesperia SDA is in the house. Pastor Wilson is in the house. Pastor Chang is in the house. Pastor Ford is in the house. I see Mount Rubidoux is in the house. Wonderful, wonderful. I see a couple from 16th Street in the house. And I even see someone from West Park SDA in Florida. And so we welcome you, Brother Malcolm. Welcome, welcome. It is good to have each and every one of you with us. And while we have you here, I know that you all are excited about what we are going to learn today. And I'm excited also. But I want to just take a moment to invite you all, if you all are not getting our newsletter, our Angles newsletter, we invite you to make sure that you sign up for it. And you can do that by texting SECC now to 22828. We're gonna have a slide at the end, and we're going to give you all that information. But make sure that you are texting that, and you are up to date with what is happening, because this is the first of a series, and I am so excited that we have Jamie Dom here, and she is a digital strategist. And today she's going to be teaching us how to optimize our YouTube channels. And I'm just so excited. And so this is what I want to do. I want to have prayer, and then I want to invite Jamie, and then we're just going to let her get started. And so if you all would have a prayerful position, because I'm going to keep my eyes open. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for this opportunity to come before you. I thank you for every ministry that is represented here. I thank you for the pastors. I thank you for the leaders. I thank you for the volunteers, the people who make it work. Lord, there's so many who work behind the scenes, and I pray that you would bless them and establish the work of their hands. And you said the things that we do in secret, you would reward us openly. And so I pray a very special blessing on our media teams that work behind the scenes and secretly. Lord, I pray that you would bless them openly. I pray for Jamie as she speaks. I pray, Lord, as we listen, that we would do the things so that we can do our very best to share your love with those around us. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen and amen. Now, we are so blessed to have Jamie, and I was going to do a little formal introduction, but instead, we're going to bring her to the screen, and we're just going to talk a little bit and get a little background on Jamie very quickly. And so we want to welcome Jamie Dom. And for those of you in the comments, go ahead and put some hand claps or show her some love. She's going to appear on the screen any moment. I just feel it. And there
Hi.
she is. Hello, Jamie.
Hi. I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys about this tonight. It's going to be great, and I hope you guys have lots of questions.
Now, I'm sure that we will. Now, can you tell us where you are coming from?
So I'm actually presenting from Reston, Virginia. So I live on the East Coast
Wow.
with my husband and two daughters.
So it's a little late there.
Yes, but you know what? They all go to bed by 8:30, so it's perfect timing for me. And I've definitely presented at weird times for international audience, so it's great.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And so I'm so happy that you are here. And we're excited because you have done such a great work in the digital media field. I'm sure you've been doing it for quite some time, but I know that as you were doing it at the GC, we saw, or the NAD, we saw such wonderful work. Share a little bit about your history.
So I actually have over 15 years experience. So I'm dating myself a little bit with digital strategies. I actually started out at the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra as and I eventually became like the e-commerce and digital marketing manager. This was when they were first bringing in the house. Social media was new. Email communications were relatively new as far as marketing. Social media was completely new. Online paid advertising was completely new. So it was great. It was a field that really didn't exist before, and I got to learn as I went. And that is honestly the best way to learn this kind of content, because it is a dynamic field and it continually changes. So I did that for approximately 5 years. I then got recruited by the Smithsonian Associates, and so I was the digital marketing manager or strategist actually for the Smithsonian Associates, which is the largest continuing education institute in the world with over like 1,000 or 1,500 educational programs a year that we promoted and advertised along with, the different exhibitions and such as that. Again, mostly digital communications, but a lot of it was integrative, working with the more traditional communications as well. And then I got a call from Elder Alvin Kibble, and I was recruited to work for the North American division in a new department as, again, a digital marketing strategist. And a lot of what I did was just create resources and train and just talk about the potential, because the digital mission field is vast and it is largely untapped. And I really do believe that the next Great Awakening will be a digital one. And so we've got to get busy because we are behind.
Well, I'm excited that you are here because you're going to help us get caught up. And so
Yeah.
I am going to turn the floor over to you as soon as I let everybody know who is watching that I need you all to like and share. So go ahead and do that so that others can know that we are on and they can join us. And so without further ado, Jamie, the floor belongs to you.
Great. Well, I mean, I have to say this. If you are any kind of content creator, I know a lot of these are churches, a lot of these are pastors checking in. You are creating a weekly sermon, and that sermon could minister to untold thousands, if not millions around the globe. If it's just positioned correctly, you guys are content creator powerhouses. Or even if you're an individual wanting to launch a digital ministry, this presentation is for you, because if you want to reach anyone, it doesn't matter their age, their demographic, their location, you can do that on YouTube, because people come to YouTube seeking answers and trying to solve problems. The church should be the leader. And I mean church like corporately, like every single one of us, in whatever capacity we have. We should be the leader in creating content that answers people's questions about life and helps them solve their problems. When we as a church help people to live their best lives, wherever you feel called, whatever topic you feel called, faith becomes relevant. And people ask me all the time, how do you become relevant? How are we to be relevant in the digital age? We'll start with people's felt needs. And that's actually a topic we're going to cover in the next presentation in June. We'll cover in depth. But if we are content that we're creating, you guys are creating just content that could really meet people where they are in their spiritual journey, but it has to be positioned for findability. So otherwise our messages will continue to get lost in the clutter, because something like 500 million minutes of content is uploaded daily. A video content is uploaded daily to YouTube. So, but there are tricks, there are best practices that if we put in place, your content can get found. And if you guys are ready, we can bring up the slide projector and we can jump right into the presentation. So this presentation is going to take you through the process of optimizing your videos and your YouTube channel for evangelism. Video is great for communicating ideas quickly, and it provides a storage place where your content never dies. You can minister to people indefinitely on YouTube, and it can be revisited. You can minister to people any time of the day, 24/7. So I strongly encourage you to take the time to go through this presentation again. After we're done, you guys are going to have access to the PowerPoints. There's also a checklist to just help you with every upload that you do, to make sure you're doing all these best practices. And there's also a thicker guide if you're really interested, where you can really dig deep into the why behind a lot of these things. So you can use these best practices to either start a channel or to revamp and get, revitalize the channel you have going, and to better utilize the content that you're already creating. I will say this. If you're going to take the time, and many of you guys take hours a week working on sermons, so much is poured into this, into these messages that you create every week. If you're going to take the time to do that, once you get used to doing these best practices, it'll take you 10, 15 minutes or whoever's going to help you do it. It's going to take them 10 or 15 minutes to go through these best practices and do them for each video and then for your channel. But I will say this, and this is a problem that I think is endemic throughout the Adventist church, is there's this sense of, because we have this present truth, because we have, these such important messages for hope and wholeness, for some reason, we think that negates our responsibility to follow the rules, so to speak. Because the Holy Spirit is with us, God will take the wheel. But I think it's a matter of good stewardship. So when we play by the rules, that helps us gain an advantage on these platforms, we can do so much more when it comes to ministry. So I just got to toggle a little bit so I can change the slides. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to get started. Just a little touch on getting to know your audience, and we're going to dig really deep in that into a future presentation. How to get found on YouTube, and then 10 tips for your videos, and then how to improve your overall curb appeal on YouTube. And then we're going to have time for Q&A, and we can actually do also a live demonstration of how this works in YouTube and a particular tool I recommend, which is called TubeBuddy. Now, many of you guys know this. Video is king, and people go to YouTube for entertainment, for education. They spend, hours a day on YouTube, regardless of their age, regardless of, whatever their location or demographics is. It is not an exaggeration to say that video is king. Internet traffic accounts for 80% of video accounts for 80% of all consumer internet traffic. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and it is the second most visited website in the world. So if you feel called to reach people, this is where we need to be. This is where young people, in particular, those that are leaving our church at the highest rates, spend most of their time online. And of course, creating a YouTube account is cheap, easy, free. All you need is a camera and a device to upload from. So let's dig into this, getting started. And anytime throughout the presentation, you can ask comments. You can ask a question in the comment section, and we'll get to it towards the end, or just share any thoughts or any perspectives that you have, because I'm sure we're going to have some good questions. So what do you need to succeed on YouTube? Well, the first thing, the number one skill that you need is communication. Now, I know I'm talking to pastors. You guys are better communicators than I am. You guys are professional communicators, so you probably have this largely in place. But remember, YouTube is where people come to learn. And so you have to be able to communicate your ideas clearly and efficiently is key. Because remember, people are seeking answers to questions. So communication actually goes beyond just your message, and we're going to dig into that. So what that means is content is more valuable to a viewer than great lighting or even video quality. So if you feel a little bit discouraged, like, oh, I don't have the best camera, or, my lighting's kind of weird, it's okay to learn as you go. Don't let your current skill level hold you back from sharing the gospel and Christ's teachings, to share our messages of hope and wholeness to a hurting world. You'll need to know how to do some elementary editing skills, or have somebody on your team who can do this for you, so you can cut out errors or splice together footage. That can be very helpful. And we'll talk about why, because we're going to talk about extracting the sermon in a little bit. You're also going to need maybe some basic design skills, or even if you don't have them, you can utilize web-based platforms like Canva that have the templates for YouTube built right in, and it makes it really easy to design some great content. They got, stock photography built right in. So it's really great. It's free or low cost, depending on what level you want to use it of. And then finally, what you really need to know is expert knowledge of your target audience. How can you help them? How can you address a pain point, a felt need, or to validate a lived experience that they are going through? Ask yourself these questions. And like I said, in the next presentation, we're going to really dig into the heart of that. And honestly, if you don't know something, YouTube or Google it. I joke all the time. You could literally Google my job. Everything I know how to do, I've probably Googled or researched online, because only recently have people been able to get degrees in what I actually do. And the funny thing about that is, oftentimes, if they're studying it from a book or whatever, what they're learning is actually outdated. So you have to learn to adapt and to kind of go with the flow. Now, I firmly believe each person, ministry, local church is uniquely equipped and positioned to reach different types of people. And I know, as a Christian, you're like, well, we want to bring everybody into the church. Yes. But there's a reason why Christ talks about the church body. We all have a role to play. We can all reach someone, because if you try to reach everyone all the time, you end up reaching no one, because your message won't be relevant. It'll be distilled too thin. And so when you narrow in on who your target audience is and what they need, you're going to be much more effective in your ability to reach them. Now, this is where it's really vital to understand who your audience is before you create content. Write a single social media post or spend money on social advertisement. Now, here's the thing. If you're a pastor of a church, you're probably tapped in to your church community and the local community. You know what they need, and you're probably already speaking to their needs. And you know what's really interesting is all around the world, people share a lot of commonalities. There's millions of searches for probably the thing that you're going to be talking about in your sermon this week that people want to know the answer for. So if it's relevant to your church body, if it's relevant to your local community, and you position it right online, you can go well beyond your local community. But make sure you're tapped in, make sure you know what their pain points are, and try to answer that, because the church should be the clear leader in creating content that improves the lives of others. And when we do this, and when we position online, your church can become a center for positive influence. So we can create meaningful content from a Christian perspective that gives people practical ways to live their best life. So you're like, okay, that's great. I get that. You're all content creators. You're tapped into your audience. You know what your need. You know what your congregation needs. You know what the pain points of your local community are. And if you don't, we're going to talk about that in the next presentation and how to discover that. But if you're creating content that is needed, that is relevant, then how do you get found? That's the key. That's what sets someone apart from, a channel that's getting millions or hundreds of thousands of views versus the channel that gets like 50 views per video, or, just maybe even a handful. I've seen even less. So the way to remember, to be relevant, we must connect with people's felt needs, lived experiences, core values. Brand loyalty, I know it seems weird to talk about brand, but as a ministry, as a church, the Adventist Church, we are a brand. But loyalty comes when we help people solve problems. Because the number one reason why people share content online is because they believe it will improve the lives of others. So this is where ministry begins, in finding those problems that we can address. And so the way to bring natural traffic to your channel is to position your video so that the people looking for it can find it. And of course, create content that people are looking for. But this process is called SEO, or search engine optimization. And the same basic steps can be used for any digital platform. It can be used for your website. All of this will be applicable. So begin with the felt needs of your target audience. Make a list of key phrases. Focus primarily on the strongest and the niche topics related to the needs of your target audience, because what did Jesus do? Yes, oftentimes as a church, we try to start with like the 2300 days prophecy. We try to start with Daniel 2, but it's not the question the person's asking. The person is suffering loss and depression because of, maybe long COVID and losing loved ones. What Jesus did is he met people where they are, with the felt need, the emotional need, the spiritual need, the physical need that they had, and then he bid them come and follow. So get into the minds, get in the hearts of your target audience, and make a list of the key phrases of topics that make sense to target them with. Sorry, I'm having trouble finding the arrow. Okay, so now that we've touched on this a little bit with about, create content that your target audience is actually searching for, it's important to keep in mind YouTube is most often used as a search engine. Yes, it's video, but it's not used like a TV. People go on it and they search for things. They search for information. So what we can do is, if you're looking for topics, you can find content, write content, and curate content related to top YouTube searches. And so in other words, make your audience's felt needs your priority and inspiration. Frame your post to pique their curiosity and answer their question, addressing their deepest longing. And you can get the top search data from any search engine, and I'll demonstrate this at the end of the presentation. And YouTube is actually really good at this. Start by typing in a question and let the search engine auto-finish, or start by typing in a topic and let the search engine auto-finish. Those top results that you get represent the most popular search queries. So in other words, you will see what large numbers of people are searching for online, and it gives you a sneak peek into their needs, their worries, their nagging questions, and often hidden longings. This is how you listen. So, like I said, you're already probably creating sermons and video content that already addresses felt needs. So you can use these same techniques to retitle the video and position it for evergreen value, meaning it will be findable for those searching for it. So if you start with what you know the felt needs of your congregation are, of what your community is, and you go online and you research specifically how are people searching for information on this topic, what specific questions are they answering? And then you position your content accordingly, because you're actually going to reflect the language back at them. So it's actually a reflective listening technique. If you want to know how to listen to people online, use these autocomplete sections. If you want to talk about like what happens when we die, you can go to YouTube and you can start searching around that to see what exact language people are using and what exactly aspects of that topic are they searching. And that's how you can narrow in your titles and narrow in your topic to meet your content with those searching for the content. And I touched upon this, but use the language they use. And if this is the only thing you take away from this presentation, you will have learned something incredibly valuable. Just like reflective listening, you want to mirror the seeker's language back at them. So go to the search bar on YouTube for your next sermon. Step into the shoes of your seeker. Start asking questions about the topic you're interested in producing content on. Think empathetically about how seekers might phrase their questions and the words they use. Pay special attention to autocomplete suggestions. These suggestions represent real things that people are searching for regarding your topic. So once you search for something, you can see how many results are available for that topic under the upper right-hand corner in like YouTube search on the videos. Your goal is to ultimately get on that first page of listed results to be seen. And you can get creative. Think of all the ways someone would search for this topic on YouTube, and consider how you can make your content more specific to narrow down the competition. And then record those results word for word on your key phrases list. My dream is that pastors would start using the autocompletes in YouTube and Google to title their sermons. That would be amazing. That would be a game changer for us. Because you're tapped into your congregation, hopefully, and you're hopefully tapped into your local community. You know what topics to speak on, but what you need to know is how are people actually searching for that information, so that you can reach beyond just the people sitting in the pew listening to you, or the people who know to tune in online to listen to you in that moment for your sermon. And so there's a tool that I recommend. I could not be successful without this tool. TubeBuddy is a Chrome browser. It has to be used in Chrome. It's an extension that works with YouTube and is a powerful resource to help you identify these good titles and tags based on search value and competition. It will help you tremendously, as I said, and I could not succeed without it. And it's not that expensive. I think it's about $10 a month, or maybe like $7.99, but everything's going up, so I'll just say $10. So there's a sermon example I often give, and this is actually a sermon that my husband wrote. He called it "To Seek and to Save." A typical sermon title. Nobody's searching for that online. So if you post your video to YouTube and you title it that, it's going to get lost in the clutter, and the people who are actually wondering, does Jesus want a relationship with me again, which is actually what the theme of the sermon was, aren't going to be paired with your content. And so this title would actually pull him up on the top of the search engines or whatever. So this is a simple trick. It's easy to use. It doesn't take a lot of skill. You just got to get used to using it, and we'll live demo it at the end. But if you just start using this reflective listening technique and using the Google auto completes and the YouTube auto completes, you will automatically start doing better. And our messages can reach many more people. Now, the guidelines outlined in this next section, this will help position your video for the best possible way to not only be found, but to also get watched. So that, not only do they have to see your video when they search it, but then they also have to be compelled enough to click through it. So be sure to follow these steps, because your content cannot lead people to Christ unless it is viewed. And to me, when I was talking to Andrea before this presentation, this is my biggest frustration. We have so much talent in the church. And I've spoke to many people who are wanting to launch digital ministries, who are producing great talent, that have a voice or perspective that needs to be heard. And I say, okay, here's 10 things you need to start doing. I created a checklist, but I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. I go back and I can actually see on YouTube Buddy whether or not they're doing it. They're still not doing it. It's the easiest thing. I actually asked one, peer of mine, one woman who just has a great perspective, especially coming from having a history of abuse and such, that needs to be seen, needs to be heard. She spends hours a week planning her content, but she won't take the 15 minutes to do these things. And so I'm literally begging you to follow this checklist. It will make a world of difference. All right, so here we go. The number one thing you need to do is extract the message. So live streaming your service is very valuable and important for your established, church community. But ask yourself, does everything included in your service have value to outsiders? And does it have value in the future? It doesn't. And it actually becomes a stumbling block for those searching for your message, because a seeker would have to click on the link and then listen to 20 to 30 minutes of community announcements before hearing your message, or scan through it and try and find it. Your sermons can have that evergreen value and minister to people indefinitely when you position them to be found. But also when the person gets when they get to engage immediately with the content they're searching for. So what I recommend is that you continue to live stream your whole worship service for your established community. Because I want to know the announcements. I want to know who's getting baptized. We want to know, we have a family, or a church family. These things are important. But then ask someone on your team, or do it yourself, but download the video and cut out just the sermon to be repositioned on YouTube for findability. Your goal should be to create as much evergreen content as possible to promote your message, your church, your ministry to seekers. Evergreen content can be shown to new audiences repeatedly while retaining its intrinsic value. I mean, it doesn't matter if they watch it today or 10 years from now. It's still answering that felt need, the same question. Evergreen content doesn't become less interesting or less relevant over time. And you can get creative. You can also have a team where you also extract the children's story. If you do health nuggets and any other special features of the worship service that may have value to others. And so, questions to consider when you're thinking of content to extract. Will my audience still care about what is covered in this video regardless of when they view it? The answer is yes, extract the message. If it was part of my audience, would I spend time watching it? Is the content an easy to digest segments that my audience can view on the go? Does this video address a common question or solve a problem? Because here's the thing, there's a mix. You have people who do 10-minute videos and they never do long-form videos. If people are really wanting and searching, they will watch an hour video and they will watch it 3 times. It just depends on the nature of the issue. So a lot of times what we do with our own ministry, Angels in the Glen, is we have the long videos, and then I extract sections of it that deal with a particular topic. So that also, broadens our reach and our SEO on the platform and helps to feed the algorithm. But you have the people that are already part of our community. They want to go through the in-depth Bible study, the 45-minute study or whatever it is. And then I pull out 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute sections in which, maybe he's talking about a specific topic. Like one I pulled out recently was how to not get your name blotted out of the book of life. That's a specific topic that was part of a longer video, but is relevant. You can actually do that with sermons and any other content you're creating as well. That's a great way to add more content. So the second thing you need to do is optimize the title of your message for search. Take the theme of your message and phrase it as a question to see how YouTube auto-completes the search query. And if you have YouTube installed, which I hope you will, look for a high ranking in green on the TubeBuddy keyword score that'll appear on the top right of your YouTube account. It may take some experimentation to get a strong title. Once you have figured out your title, use the exact phrase. So this is, we did a kind of conversations series with a church in Florida. And so we actually did this where the videos were named, and the topics were chosen based on search queries. And this is an example of it got 100 out of 100 score, meaning there's high search volume and kind of average medium competition, which means you have a high opportunity to show up in the search results. Here's a checklist. Again, model your title after search phrases. Pay attention to trends related to your topic, like if you're doing a series. Craft a title that piques curiosity, and avoid dates and numbering systems. So oftentimes the dates and the numbering systems are also like a stumbling block. I'll see sermons where they're creating content and it's like part 3, and they're all named the same thing, but it's just the only thing that changes is like the part of it. And so you have to at least lead with the unique topic or theme of that particular message, and then you can, clarify that it's part of a series, or you can put it in a playlist, but there's other ways to demonstrate that. But when you date it, don't date your sermons, because then immediately when the brain sees the date, they go, oh, this is old, this isn't relevant. So keep the dates off. Add a title and a description. I can't tell you how many times I see messages that are great, but they're not getting seen. There's no title, and there's no title in the description, and there's no description, or there's very little description. So when you add your title in the title field, when you upload the video, you also fill out the description, and you actually want to start your description section with the title of the video again, because it helps with search engine optimization. Your descriptions should not be neglected. They are factored into YouTube and Google's algorithm for search ranking, increasing discoverability. So the first 2 sentences of your description are the most important regarding ranking, so be sure to reflect the title of your video and include a call to action whenever possible. You want to provide some description copy, perhaps maybe about 250 words. It enables the search engine to index your video for search query optimization. You can add links to your website, specific web pages, resources, etc. All of that will help you get pulled up in ranking. So when you provide also both call to actions and links, you encourage your viewers toward meaningful action and make it easy for them to take that desired action. So let's see here. We have example. This is just the checkbox. And you can go through this, in your own time. But basically, you can also add timestamps. That's also really helpful, particularly for a long message. You can add the video topic, series, speaker information, backlinks, which means just links to your website or other resources. Add hashtags. Hashtags work on YouTube. It helps with the indexing again. You can add your social media information and links, and you can add your general church or ministry information and links as well. It's good to have some boilerplate language that's always dropped into every video, because it also helps link them together. Here's an example that we did for Candid Conversations down in Mount Pisgah. We have the timestamps. Those are just, obviously, it's a template. There's a teaser line of the topic. And then all of this is like the boilerplate language with call to actions of where they can ask questions, of how they can get a prayer request or a Bible study. All of this is really important content for not only getting your audience engaged and further connected with you, but also just helps with ranking. Number 4, thumbnail. A lot of times great message, but terrible thumbnail. It's the image that will be seen first by a viewer when they're scrolling through YouTube. The goal here is to get people to pick your video over the competition. So oftentimes when I'm doing research on a topic and I find a good title that's tied into something that we're covering for our ministry, I'll search it and see what other thumbnails are out there and see how to create something that'll stand out, that'll be different from the rest of the thumbnails around that topic. so you can get a good click-through rate. So here are the elements of a good thumbnail. Again, canva.com has a great template for it. You want to choose an image or a graphic that can stand out, so very colorful. You can push the saturation a little bit. You can push the contrast. You want large font text that easily is read on a small screen and teases the value that you're going to offer in the message. If you're going to have people's faces, have the close-ups. Whites of their eyes, big smile, make it where they can see you, because people connect with human faces. And in fact, as much as possible in your videos, your face should fill the screen and they should be able to see the whites of your eyes. You can vary the thumbnails from picture to picture. You can even use stock images to kind of create a little bit of diversity. We do this on our channel. Incorporate your branding and logo. Make sure it's easy to understand on a small screen. And again, you could push the sharpness and the contrast and stuff just to help it pop just a little bit. So here are some examples of thumbnails. So the top two rows are from Angels in the Glen. You can see I use a lot of color, a lot of diversity, because what we didn't want is just rows and rows of my husband's face. So we actually brought in some video mission content for the Daniel studies. So we have a lot of stock video footage, and so we took some screenshots out of that. My favorite is Daniel 4 and Nebuchadnezzar's crazy face and broken nose. And just variety, easy to read. You could see it on a mobile phone. Below is an example of doing thumbnails for a church, and how those can also be used to stand out and make sure the text is easy to read. Canva has tons of different templates you can play with, or if you're lucky enough to have a designer, they can kind of create something. But it's nice if you have a template, because then it's easy just to fill in the spaces, create a template, and just create new thumbnails, and you have this sort of branded look. Okay, add the video to a playlist. It's helpful to create playlists by speakers, topics, and series to enable your audience to easily navigate your channel and find your videos that interest them. It's just, especially if you have series, that's important. Maximize your use of relevant tags. Now, this is where TubeBuddy is extremely valuable. Do not skip this part. So many people either skip this part or don't do their due diligence in keyword research. If you want your content to be found, relevant tags are key. They're gold. Tags are used to help people find your video when they're typing something into the YouTube search bar. Sometimes I joke with people. I was actually joking recently with the Voice of Prophecy. I was like, do you guys actually want your videos to be found? They're not even doing any tags. And I just say that to be a little cheeky, but these small things we can do can make a huge difference in getting our perspective out there, because people are hurting and they're searching online, and the Adventist perspective is largely not present in the conversation. This is how we can join the conversation. So you want to make sure, first of all, that you have a common tag throughout your channel, because that helps link your videos together. So YouTube is more likely to recommend another one of your videos to kind of keep them engaging with your content. So ours, for our example from Angels in the Glen, was Jesus Born on Christmas. Angels in the Glen is our first tag every single time. And then the next tag is typically the exact title of the video and the way people are searching. And then, similar titles, similar things that people are searching. You want to use 4 to 5 word search phrases related to the video, because when you just do like the 1 or the 2 word search phrases, they're too broad, they're too vague. Something like Bible study or Bible or God or Jesus. You have to think more for the long tail keywords, get more specific, and you're more likely to actually get seen. And don't use misleading keywords, because you'll actually get punished by the algorithm. So sometimes what you'll see people do is, if there's something happening in the news, like, the Russia and Ukraine, or like right now, like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, people will start using those keywords to try and get their videos seen, and YouTube will punish them, because you'll get thumbs down and people will get mad. So choose your end screen options. The end screen is what appears at the end of your video. This is an opportunity to encourage the viewer to subscribe to your channel, visit your website, or stay in the loop and keep watching your videos. So don't miss out on that opportunity, because your goal is to keep them engaged with your content. Here's an end screen example. In the top right-hand corner, that's the next video, similar to encourage them. The bottom left, that's a link to the website, and then the top left is actually the subscribe button link. You want to add also at least one card. Cards appear as callouts within the video, and if you hover over like the little eye in the top right hand corner, the cards will pop down, so you can kind of see an example here from one of our videos. You can encourage people to subscribe to your channel. Here again, encourage them to visit a playlist, visit your website, stuff like that. Download a free resource, whatever it is. Next, you want to pin a comment to the video with a link and a call to action. So this not only puts you in control of the first comment viewers see, but it prevents negative comment from showing up first. And it also, again, is another opportunity to direct them to your website, your resource, or take another action. So here's an example of that we did with Angels in the Glen, and appears as a pinned comment. You notice I also put in the timestamp so that just to help people navigate a longer video. Now, if you asked me what, like the second, well, I don't know, it depends. This might actually be where ministry truly happens. So your content that you're putting out there is sort of the widest part of the funnel. That's your net you're casting. But where does ministry really take place? Where do souls really get converted? And it's in the comments. It's in your engagement strategy. And I cannot trust this enough. Don't just talk to your audience, talk with them. This engagement is key to building the community and having a meaningful relationship with those you're ministering to. And this is actually a factor, again, YouTube will reward you. It factors in your engagement in whether or not you show up at the top of the search results. So when you respond to every comment, it helps your content perform better in the algorithm. Of course, improves your ranking and helps you show up as a suggested video on other videos. So if someone takes the time to engage with your content, good or bad, take the time to respond and let them know they're valued. Treat each comment as you would an in-person conversation. Interact with them. Try to understand where they're coming from. This includes, when people ask questions, but also, when they offer criticism that maybe isn't too constructive. Unless they're being hostile, then don't worry about it. Remember that on the other end of that comment is a real life person. Ask God to give you wisdom on how to best respond to their comment. This is a huge opportunity for ministry that must not be overlooked. I cannot tell you how many people are simply shocked because they get an answer from us on Angels in the Glen, which is a very sad commentary on Christianity in digital spaces. They are surprised that we actually take the time to respond to them, that we pray for them. We try to engage with every comment, and it's just me and my husband, but we split it up and we take the time to do it. It's many people who comment on your ministry's video may be battling challenges, struggling with faith, and asking very sincere questions. As a representative of the church, we can be that voice that answers. We have a message of hope and wholeness that can help our audience realize that God is there for them. And I'll tell you this, in the last week, I've answered questions on, someone who's mourning the loss of a friend who died from suicide, and they feel guilty because they thought if they had been a better friend or a better witness to them, they wouldn't have committed suicide, and they're afraid that the person's forever condemned. I today responded to someone who's struggling with drug addiction, porn addiction, and, other addictions. Like, these are people who just need somebody to pray for them. They need encouragement. They need the word, addressed to them. The video they commented on had nothing to do with their actual comment, but they liked the content and they thought maybe if I reach out to these people, they might have an answer. They might have encouragement for me. Respond to them. That is where ministry happens. Build that meaningful relationship. It also builds trust. Here's some tips for growing your community. Heart the comments. Reply to all comments. You can thumbs up or thumbs down. If you thumbs down, it helps push down the negative comments. Invite people to your website and collect email addresses. Make sure there's a way that they can sign up for more information and that you can re-engage them directly through like email or whatever. If you follow these guidelines, I promise you, you will get high SEO scores and your videos will be seen. I'm holding nothing back. Here's an example from a recent video we updated for Angels in the Glen. You can see it has an SEO score of 100. I follow these same principles for optimizing our home church's videos, and their videos are ranking very well now too. So our own personal church is now doing this. And the reason ranking matters, again, is that your content can't minister to seekers if it cannot be found. I created a handy checklist for you to reference. Please take it. Please do it. And I forgot to mention that TubeBuddy actually tells you whether or not you've done all the best practices. So if you look down below the stats, you can see best practices, and we have them all checked, and you can see our tags. And I will say our channel, which is about 2 years old, already it's nearing 1 million views. There's over 760,000 views on our channel. And we're just a husband and a wife producing content. Anybody can do this. Any church can do this. You guys are content creating beasts. You probably create more content than we do. There's a lot of opportunity here. And what I'm saying, what I'm outlining to you matters. And it does result in people coming into the church, and it does result in conversions and heart change. And I have testimonies to that at the end if you're curious. Now, I want to close with giving just a few tips for optimizing your overall channel. This is also in the checklist because you want people to visit your channel. You want them to stay. You want them to check it out and ultimately subscribe, return again. This is your digital curb appeal. Number 1, upload a profile image that can be easily understood and seen. I'm always amazed at how much information people try to cram into that tiny little circle. Keep in mind that most people are actually viewing on a mobile device, so that's going to be very, very small. So in this case, we have the Adventist logo for our local church in the left-hand corner, but then the emblem is actually, well, the profile image is actually the church's emblem for Reaching Hearts. And then create a channel header that is high res and eye-catching. Again, canva.com has templates. It's the channel header is at the very top of your channel, and it's an opportunity for you to set your brand apart from other channels. It helps, your branding helps communicate a perceived value. Make sure your branded look is professional, clean, modern. Include your upload schedule if you can, and use graphics and text to communicate what the channel is about. So here's just a few examples. I like Justin Koo's channel, Pro's channel. Complete the description section. So not just the descriptions in every video. Oftentimes I go to churches and ministries and they literally have nothing in the description section. Take the first few sentences to call out your target audience. Help the reader identify that this content is for them. Pitch the value of your channel for the target audience. Just simply ask yourself, why should they prioritize my content over a similar channel? Or how will they be affected by my content? Assume that the reader has never heard about you before and has no idea what your channel is about. Then take the next paragraph to describe your channel, what it's about, and what a person can expect if they subscribe to your channel, including your posting schedule. Here's an example. Again, the checklist has examples in there too. You can use it as a template for your own church or ministry. Include links at the bottom of the About page that direct to your website and other social media profiles. Super helpful. So here's an example for our local church. They have the website, they have plan a visit, radio program, Facebook, media resources, support, stuff like that. Include at least one link in the banner. So at least your website in the banner so people can find out more about your church or ministry. Consider what videos you want people to see first. So you want to arrange the homepage videos accordingly by playlist, or you can feature key or popular playlist on your homepage. If you want to see a mature channel, for that, you can look at Justin Coe's channel. You can look at, if you speak Spanish, the Binary Beetle. He's a big Adventist influencer in South America. There's several other, I can actually give you guys a list of Adventist YouTube influencers if you want to check that out. And last but not least, and this can be very simple, just you talking into the screen, but create a channel trailer. It's a video that is shown at the top of your channel page for a prospective new audience member. Once people subscribed, they will no longer see that video. So create a short channel trailer that speaks directly to people, letting them know what your channel is about and what your goal is, how often they can expect new content, and what kind of content they can expect on a regular basis. These elements combined help create an engaging trailer that sets clear expectations, enabling the viewer to better decide if this channel is for them. So this is all like marketing your channel. Okay, so if you want more free resources, you can always visit my website. I wrote a book, and I don't specifically cover these guidelines for YouTube in the book, but a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to cover in future presentations. And just in general, it's a practical guide to help you with your digital evangelism efforts and to better, become a center of influence for your community. So at this time, we have a couple of options. We can do a Q&A, and while I'm answering some questions, I can also get ready to do a demonstration. So we can take down the slide. I can answer some questions. And I can also queue up a live demonstration of TubeBuddy if you want to see it. And I see someone saying that TubeBuddy also works on Firefox. It does, but I have found it to be buggy. Maybe that's a personal issue. I don't know. Might just be like my problem. I don't know. Oops.
Thank you so much, Jamie. This has been so good. And, I actually have a couple questions too, because I know that I think I've broken most of your rules. I think I've broken them all. And so where do we start? Do we pull the content we have up, down, and just start over? What should the first thing that we do be?
I think just start with changes. I don't think you have to pull down your own content. I mean, there are churches that have years and years of content up. That's a huge undertaking. Unless you want to do a completely new rebrand and start a new ministry, I don't think that's necessary. Move forward and do something else. If you did a sermon series, you can maybe, download those videos and re-upload them in a playlist. But honestly, what I tell a lot of churches to do is just start this week. Start with a checklist this week. After your sermon, download it. You don't have to remove the video because you can have your live streams up there for your community who want to see everything. But download the video, cut out the message, and optimize it and repost it. And honestly, another little hack is I have found that if you do schedule it as like a live broadcast Sunday mornings, you'll get a lot more views because Sunday morning is actually when most people are searching for spiritual content. So that's also a really good time to just repost your sermon.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I'm seeing lots of questions in the chat. And so we'll go ahead and put some up.
Okay. If I'm not a church but a ministry, how often should I create new content? Ideally, the more you upload to YouTube, the better. But here's the thing. Quality is always more important than quantity. Our personal ministry, we cannot create entirely new content every single week. So what I do is we work on the long form content, and then I often cut it up and then repost short snippets on like a weekly basis. So try as much as you can to create content on a weekly basis, or you can do the technique where if you create a long form content, you can cut out short little snippets and schedule that every week. That seems to work really well for us. So an example of that is my husband's working on a series on the divinity of Christ, because a lot of people do. Well, we're going to do a whole actual series on the natures of Christ. So the divinity of Christ, the humanity of Christ, and then pre-incarnate Christ. But the first part that he's working on is the divinity of Christ. And it's actually going to be broken up into 8 sections. So you're going to have the one video, which will be a long form video, which will probably be like an hour, maybe hour 15. We'll post that. And then I'm actually going to extract the 8 sections and post that as a separate playlist and schedule them once or twice a week, depending on when, we're going to be able to videotape the next section, which will be the humanity of Christ. But basically taking a long form content, breaking it up, and then scheduling it so that we're continually feeding the algorithm.
Great.
But don't sacrifice quality for quantity. Don't go at the pace and I know this is contrary to what a lot of YouTubers say, go at the pace where you can get good content and post it. And the more you can post, the better, but just do your best. And again, this is me like, start where you can. Start making changes on your next video. Start updating and refreshing your, organizing your videos and stuff and making your channel and improve your digital curb appeal, even if you only change one part a week. If you only work on your channel description and then you add the links the next week, like just start somewhere and start doing it and, start with your future videos.
Wonderful. I think she had a follow-up question. How short is short form and how long is long form in minutes?
So that is definitely open to interpretation, because I've seen, like, I don't know why YouTube thinks I want to watch this, but probably because I'm obsessed with body language and I love reading body language at, analyst stuff and like watching them interpret body language. So I keep getting all these like videos. You have people who are literally like live streaming the trial right now between Deb and Emma Heard, and it's like 8 hours long. People are watching it. And it blows my mind. There's like thousands of people watching it. So you have 8 hours. I mean, generally, I think like an hour, hour and a half is pretty long form content if you're like really getting to the meat and potatoes of a message. We try to keep ours to 45 minutes, no longer than that. But what we have is we have a lot of people, and they tell us this, that they watch a video several times, they pause, they take notes, because we're a deep Bible study. And then short content could be a couple minutes, could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. YouTube actually favors slightly longer videos. So if you can create 10 to 15 minute videos, that's great. If you consistently create 30-minute sermons, that's great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I think Pastor Bologna asked, other than Justin Cool's channel, which Adventist church has the most subscriptions?
Oh, okay. So I can actually pull it up because I actually just created a resource for another client. And I actually have a whole bunch, because I was doing research. I believe the Binary Beetle, which is the South American influencer, and he speaks Spanish, and I think he has almost 200,000 followers. So hold on. Let me just pull him up real quick. Thank you for holding. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is the influencer with probably the most Adventist following. So let me just pull him up real quick and just check his numbers. You also have the cross-cultural Christian. I don't know. So Binary Beetle has 5.63 million views, and he has 167 subscribers. So let me look up Justin. Justin has 119 subscribers. So actually the Binary Beetle has the most.
Now, do you know about churches?
Are
there any churches that are doing it well?
Well, there's also, hold on here. Well, there's the cross-cultural Christian, who is Kevin Wilson, and he's technically also a church. He's doing extremely well. But you have Storyline Church is doing pretty decently on YouTube. Miracle City Church is also doing pretty well on YouTube. I think there's certain things I would like to see them do better, but they're also doing quite well.
You said Miracle City, and what was the church you said before that?
Storyline Church.
Storyline. Because we're gonna go check them out.
Okay, yeah. And actually, you know what I can do is, so what I did is I was doing research for a resource for a client for the Called conference and I think the GC conference, and I'll just send these to you. So I actually pulled the top influencers on all the major platforms in Adventist. So, or at least the ones I thought. And what I did is I didn't put things like, so here's the thing about this. Like, if you have a big name like Mark Finley, so you can see, oh, Hope Lives 365. Oh, they're doing really awesome. They have all this silly stuff. They have Mark Finley. They don't actually have to follow any of the best practices. And they generally don't. And they still have a huge following because they have Mark Finley. It's sort of like when I worked at the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, I had a really great mentor. And, you know, we would sometimes work with Merriweather Post Pavilion, which was the outside concert pavilion that would have like rock concerts and stuff like that. And obviously we did classical music, but sometimes we would work with them, and you know, we'd get online with these people and they're like, oh yes, you know, I'm the marketing director and we just sold out like Coldplay last week or whatever. And when I was at the Smithsonian, we'd get like A-listers like John Cleese and Betty White. And the truth of marketing is, if you have an A-lister name, you don't have to do marketing. All you do is make it available and it sells itself. If you have, not saying that you preachers aren't A-listers, but just you don't have the name recognition necessarily, unless you're one of those like A+ listers, headliners, you're like a Mark Finley or whatever. You have to play by the rules. And the cool thing about, you know, social media, digital platforms, is it levels the playing field. If you're willing to go by the rules, you can compete. Like I was talking, I consult with the Voice of Prophecy. We have more views on our YouTube channel than they do, and they have like Sean Boostra, and they're the Voice of Prophecy. And it's simply because we play by the rules. And so this equals the living plan, the playing field. So if you're a pastor of a church of 50, you can get the same kind of coverage as, you know, maybe these legacy ministries, if you just play by the rules and you practice these best practices. It's that simple. That's why, you know, sometimes people will tear their hair out like, oh, Aaron Power, and he didn't like the Adventists and all this stuff. If you go to Aaron Power's YouTube channel, and I can actually see this on YouTube, buddy, he plays by all the rules. That is why he has millions and millions and millions of like views, and I think he has like millions of followers too, because he does his research, he does his due diligence, and that's why he has such a big audience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel convicted to get these messages out there, you can. All you have to do is play by the rules. And I gave you the rules.
You gave us the rules, and you've done a manual, you have a checklist. And for everybody who is registered, we are going to send this out. And she's even given her slides. I mean, the generosity never ceases. We're so grateful. There are a couple more questions, but I do want to say, for those of you who may just be tuning in and did not register, we want to invite you to go over to Eventbrite, to SECC Adventist, and there you can register. So we'll have your email address so that when we send out all of this great information, that you will be able to get it. Now, can you take a couple more questions?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like this, and I actually see one that's really good. It looks like Wade Ford might need some clarification. He says, live stream your entire service, but upload just your sermon. Continue to live stream your service. You can keep the live stream service on your channel, because your community members, like sometimes I go back, like I missed something and I knew somebody was speaking at our church, and I'll go back and watch it like 3 weeks later. Your church community wants the entire live stream up there. Keep it up there, but then extract the message and optimize that for search and repost it, particularly if you can repost it on a Sunday morning. Even if I think you can, I can't think of, see, this is mom brain. I have 2 kids under 3. So I think it's like you can schedule it as like a live premiere. That is a live premiere Sunday morning of the sermon that was preached. And what I tell people is, like, you know, you don't have to spend your Saturday night cutting the video and doing all this stuff. Just do it the next week and schedule. So like your sermon, let's say you preached 2 days ago, that's the one that's going to come on the next Sunday. Like you just cut it out, or have somebody cut it out, optimize it for findability, and then schedule it for a following Sunday morning as like a live premiere or something. And you're going to get a whole lot more traction, and you're going to be able to reach many more people.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Michael Henry asks, what are some ideas of things that can be done during a live stream as compared to a pre-recorded video?
Well, you can certainly ask questions live. You can engage with people. You can affirm them. Sort of like what Dr. King did at the beginning of this video. Just kind of shout out, engage with us. Let us know where you're coming from. What did you think of this? Or you can have moments where you acknowledge the audience as long as it doesn't like break up your message or whatever that you're doing. Will you acknowledge the audience, that you include them in some way? If you're someone who's doing messages and it's just you sitting at your computer or on your own personal set, like talking into the screen, there's ways that you can engage and include them. And if you want ideas, watch live streams that people have of various influencers and stuff like that. And I'm amazed, like people will just literally sit there and watch someone watching something. And then like they engage and they ask questions, but there's sort of this like community event kind of feeling about it. You can do like a Bible study going through, something, and ask questions to the audience. There's a lot of ways that you can engage. And the best thing I could say is talk to your audience like you're having a conversation face to face with them. This is why it's important. Like another issue that we have, and at some point I should probably drop this as well because I've done it for various clients, but also your presentation on the screen. We tend to have this like pastor far away behind a podium with like a physical barrier, and he's tiny and you can't see his facial expressions, and the video is blurry. Get up into the camera. Let them see your micro expressions. Let them see your face. Talk to them like they're literally right there. It takes a little bit of practice. It's a little weird, but we're probably all getting a lot better at it because I spend my days talking behind the screen. So,
thank you for that. Can you share a little bit about TubeBuddy? Does it work for Spanish titles and other languages?
That I actually don't know. I'm sorry. I should actually know the answer to that question, but you could probably go to their website and find out for that. I hope it does. But you can also just use the autocomplete for Spanish. But TubeBuddy is super helpful. And actually, let me see if I can, I guess if I stop my screen and then let me share, I can actually show you a couple things on TubeBuddy. Not that screen, that's you guys. Okay, share. All right, so if you guys can pull up, and maybe Dr. King and I can stay on one side, and yeah, you can pull up the, okay, screen share. So let me know if this doesn't work, if there's like a weird delay. So, because I have to go behind you guys. So this is just binary beetle, but if you want to see how TubeBuddy works, I can go to our channel. Sorry, our little trailer autoplay. So if you go into, for an example, I'll go into this video for a second. And sorry for the autoplay, it's always disruptive, but I can edit the video. And when you go into TubeBuddy, it's just like a little extension in your browser. It tells you if you've done everything. Now, I've actually added chapters, but sometimes it doesn't. It takes a little bit. Oh, I can recheck it. I'll see what's going on there. Oh, no, I didn't add chapters for this one because this is a short video. And the chapters, somebody asked if the chapters help. They really do. And also YouTube, again, rewards you if it's a long video and you add chapters. So you can actually even create a thumbnail through TubeBuddy. I do it in Canva. And down here is where, basically where it's really important. It really helps with the keyword search. It gives you recommendations. You can search and find different things. You can search based on relevance score, keyword score. Like that's a good one. You can do Bible study for beginners. You just click on it. It shows up. Now I actually went over, so I have to take that one off. But this gives you lots of different options, which is super helpful if you're new to finding the keywords. Now, this is where if I go to the video, and we show, it takes a moment for TubeBuddy to show up. You can see the optimization score for this particular video. It's 90. I try to always get above 80. Sometimes I can't quite get 100. It shows you if all your checklists are done, and then it shows all your thumbnails, but it basically gives you your score, which is super helpful. Now, if you're trying to figure out how to search for something, like for example, using that one sermon example, to seek and to save. There's an example. It'll show up at the side, and the side, it's poor. It's not gonna. That's not what you want to title your sermon, for example. But if I say, does Jesus. Now, unfortunately, it's like knowing what, but here's a lot of other autocompletes. Does Jesus care when my heart is pained? Does Jesus know who you are? Does Jesus want a relationship with me again? Which is, of course, the example I'm using, and it knows that. So it still gets 100 out of 100 score. Now, over time, things might change. But what's really interesting is actually you actually look at the top ones. None of these are answering that question. So this is a huge opportunity, and my husband actually needs to redo the sermon, and we'll re-record it before I actually post it. But this is a huge opportunity. Very high search volume, low competition, and then the competition that's there isn't actually answering the question. So if we actually, when we actually record this message and post it, it's going to get a lot of views because there's a need for it. There's a demand for it. Now, if we go back to, let's say, does God have unrealistic expectations? Does God control everything? Like all these like auto-completes. Does God want me to be single forever? That's interesting. Depending on whatever your topic is. And so that's very good. You can tweak it. Say single for the rest of my life. Ooh, that might be more specific. The more specific you get, the better. That's excellent. That's a great title for a message. High search volume, low competition. That means a lot of people are actually using this exact phrase. There's an opportunity here. Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense. You're changing the game for us.
And so, like I said before, my dream is that pastors will start using this technique to title their sermons. And then if you pull out your sermons and you do all the pretty things and optimize, you're going to reach so much more. And so here's an example. Like if I just go to like Voice of Prophecy to show you, like we have so much untapped potential. And I'm just picking on them because, I'm giving them advice. So if you look at their videos, I don't know if they've started changing stuff yet, but let's see. Let's see if they started doing anything. SEO score 10. 10. Best practices not done. So the views that they have gotten are simply because people know Voice of Prophecy and they specifically go to look at Voice of Prophecy, or they know Sean Bootstrap. They're not getting organic views because it's not findable the way it should be.
Right. Wow. Well, don't look at our videos yet.
It's okay. And now, like if I look at Aaron Parr, like, little controversial guy. The beat. Okay. Yeah. Great trailer. He's got 78 million views, you guys. He's got almost 1 million subscribers. If I click on any of his videos, he has done his homework. Wait. Sometimes too, but he takes a moment to pop up. Oh, he actually didn't get it. Usually he has like 100 on all his other scores, so I don't know what he's doing there. But of course, the one I picked, he didn't do. How to deal with temptation. So like he does all these videos, and I would say 90%, almost every time I look at his videos, he has a very high SE score, and he's doing all the things he's supposed to be doing. So yeah, here he goes. Look at all these nice long keywords. He's got an SEO score of 70. Could do a little better, but he's still doing great because you can't really judge a man that has 78 million views. He obviously is doing his right. He's doing his homework. He's choosing titles based on search results. Which Bible translation should I read? Ooh, let's try that. Which Bible translation should I read? Let's see what the score of that is. And of course, he comes up number 1. So, maybe when he created the video, it was a much higher score. But he generally does his homework. Or which one is the best? Let's see what the autocomplete say. But he's like at the top of all of these. maybe this one. So what sometimes happens is these numbers can change over time. So there we go. Which Bible translation is closest to the original text? He's still showing up on top, guys. Still showing up on top. He's going to show up on top on all of these because in general, he seems to really be doing his homework. And he's firmly established. Like, he's over 5 years ago was this video. So I think he's actually been on YouTube, like, if I go to his channel, I think he's been there for a very long time. Yeah, he's been there since 2014. So he's had time, but the point that I'm making is he's doing his homework. And so if we want our messages to get heard, if we want to tell our story, so oftentimes, Adventists get bad attention because somebody like this picks us up and says, oh, look at the Adventists, they're called or whatever. And I think it was reconciled because Justin Coe did an awesome thing and like reached out to them, and there was like there came to be an understanding, and it became an engagement opportunity. But the point is, people like this, they're telling our story. We need to be telling our own story. We need to be the voice that's sharing our messages, because in the absence of our message, in the absence of us communicating our own story and our truth and the present truth, people are going to fill in the blanks for us. And generally, we don't like how people fill in the blanks for Adventists. It's not good. And so this is a church branding issue where we need to start doing our homework so that our messages can be at the top and we can control the narrative about Adventists and our beliefs and the truth that we have. And we have so much to offer. But we're not present in the care. Even when it comes to like the ministry of healing and the health message, we're not present in that conversation. Because we were, eating plant-based diets long before it was cool. But if people want to know about plant-based diets and they don't go to Adventists, they go to the world and they find other resources and stuff online. And we've known about this much longer than them. But again, we're not part of the conversation.
Well, that changes today. It changes this week.
I'm bleeding. I'm begging you guys. That's why I'm like giving you everything. Please, please.
Absolutely. A couple more questions. One, is it a good idea to pre-record your sermon and post it as a separate video, or just use the one preached during worship?
It depends. I mean, I've seen a couple other people that are doing that. I'm getting ready to work with a client that actually does that. That is actually going to do that. They pre-record their sermon messages so that they can engage and stuff because they're entirely online right now. I think it depends. Like, I haven't seen like the results of that done because I haven't started working with the client yet. But I would say if you don't have a good video situation for your preaching sermon, but you can, get up into the screen and talk in a very conversational tone and talk to people like you're there face to face for your message, by all means do it.
Wonderful. So David leads a weekly men's Bible study via Zoom. How easy is it to turn a Zoom video into YouTube content as you have described?
I think it depends on the dynamics of like the Zoom video. I think if you have people that are very informative, they're very engaging, or if you're doing like a short message and all that kind of stuff, and then you just have like the people listening, I think there's a lot of potential there. But I also see people posting like their Zoom Bible studies and half the people don't have their cameras on and no one's talking. So again, it's kind of like, what's the vibe? Or do you start with like a 10-minute message that is really powerful and then there's a discussion? Like, it depends on, the vibe that you're giving and how engaging it is. If it's engaging, then yeah, of course. If it's not, then maybe extract the short little message and just post that.
Thank you for that. Elizabeth was thinking of adding an anonymous Google form for people to submit questions. Do you think that is a good way to find the most common questions people are searching for answers for?
That's another great way, especially like for your local community or the audience you're already engaging. So this is actually the premise on which, with Erica Jones, when I was at NAD, we launched Gorgeous to God, and now they have a Rugged Journey, which is a men's ministry, and then a Gorgeous to God is the female ministry. And what took off and what fuels that engine is people can submit questions. They can ask anything. And a lot of the questions are heartbreaking. A lot of it is like, wow, I really have to think about it on how to, handle that topic. I think that's a great way to get some direct feedback from your community, especially like if you're dealing with like youth and stuff, but actually any age group. You can, even in your local church, you can create an anonymous form on your website and be like, we don't know who you are. You can ask us anything. I'm going to deal with it in an upcoming video. Be prepared to be very candid, which is something that the church desperately needs, because the problems in the world are the problems in the church, and the church is really uncomfortable addressing them. And so if you want, again, faith to be relevant, especially to your youth, you have to openly and compassionately address the questions and the challenges that they are facing on a daily basis.
Absolutely. That is so good. So good. Thank you so much. I think the last question I saw was asking, I think he was asking about binary beetle
Oh
in
yeah.
Brazil. And
So
so,
he's an Adventist influencer in Spanish. I don't think it's Spanish. I'm Italian. I can understand a little bit of what he's saying, but people really love him. So, but he covers a lot, and he's obviously very big on the platform and very big apparently in South America.
so that is wonderful. Listen, I am so grateful that you have joined us today, Jamie. So much so that we've already arranged for you to come back for the next two Media Mondays. And so next, so the fourth Monday of each month. And so our next one is going to be June 27th, and you're going to be talking about understanding your audience. Could you give us a 1-minute summary of what that's going to be about?
This is going to be actually about digging deep. So oftentimes when we think about our audience, we think of very superficial things like, oh, their age, their race or ethnicity, their location. But let's dig deeper, because when you think of really successful brands, they resonate with people at their core. There's a core value. There's a lived experience. So a good example of that is REI. REI doesn't target a race. It doesn't target an age group. It doesn't target people by location. It targets a desire, a core value to be outdoors, to explore. And so they have this very broad appeal. So when we dig deep into our audience, again, what are people, you want people to be loyal to your message, to be loyal to your brand, to be interested in avid message, help them with their pain points, meet them where they are in their journey. And so that's what that presentation is going to be, basically like looking at the cultural influences, thinking about cultural empathy in digital spaces, expanding our understanding of what culture is. Understanding the drivers in the collective shifts of society, understanding how to speak to people, how to create a persona, how to determine what it is that they actually need and what messages would actually be relevant. So, and this is really important. Like I'm not just saying this in theory. This isn't for fun. I mean, this is what we do for our own ministry. This is what I've done my entire career. Like, what is it that they're being interested in? It's a lot easier to quote unquote sell something to someone who's looking for it. So, it's not about selling sand at the beach. It's about selling sand to the person who wants sand. But you have to know who that person is and what their needs are. And if you're trying to reach a specific demographic, like your local neighborhood or teen girls or whoever it is, understanding what it is they actually need. And how do we do that?
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm just so excited because the Office of Communication and Media, we are here to help our churches soar in these digital spaces. And I'm just so happy and grateful that you're partnering with us, Jamie, to help train our churches to do this. And I'm very grateful to everybody who's joined us, everyone who is here. There are a million other things you could have been doing, but you took the time to learn, to be able to take the message of the Lord to another level. And I am so excited about that. I want to thank you. Did you want to say something else, Jamie?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify somebody was right. I think somebody thought I was promoting Aaron Parr, the beat. I'm not promoting him. I'm just using as an example of someone else who's telling our story when we should be telling our story. And that he just follows the rules, and that's why he has so many followers.
Thank you for that clarification. Before we go, I do want to just bring up a couple of announcements. Let's see. Number one, we have our newsletter, our monthly newsletter. And if you have not subscribed, here is the way that you can subscribe. You can go to bit.ly/SECC now, or you can also text SECC now to 22828. And we would love to not only have you read our newsletter, but we would love for you to share things in our newsletter. And so you can upload your pictures and stories at seccangles.com. And so we are excited about that. And then the last thing, well, the second to the last thing, number one, we are working on getting a new website, but as we are waiting, you have to go to our old website. We want to make sure that we connect with the media teams and media people in all of your churches. And so if you all would go to our website, and it is seccadventistfaith.org. Under ministries, you'll see communications. On the communications page, you see it says media team, sign up here. Click on that link, and that'll give you the opportunity to sign up for you'll get updates. We want to have some regional meetups with media teams in all of our counties. We want to put some food together. We want to just have a great time and create community in our counties so that if we need some help, we have somebody. We all need somebody to lean on. And so we want to make sure that we get that. And then finally, Jamie talked a lot about Canva. And I don't know if you all know, but Canva has free memberships for nonprofits. And so your church can have a free Canva account. And so we encourage you to look into that so that you can take your graphics to the next level also. That being said, I think I covered everything. I want to thank you, Jamie, once again for being here. I want to thank all of our pastors for sharing this with their teams, all of our team members for showing up. We are ready to roll. I see a couple more questions. I see at least 2 or 3. One about subtitles. Jamie, do you have a recommendation for subtitles?
Oh, you mean like language or just the subtitles coming across the videos? YouTube actually does that automatically. The closed caption, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So YouTube will actually do that automatically if you. I think even if you don't check a box, it does it. But in the settings, you can tell it to do it, and it does it.
Okay. And then Isaiah is asking, is there a platform where media teams from other churches can network? Not that I know of, but we're going to create something. It may not be a digital platform, but we are definitely going to be working towards networking in our counties. And so make sure that you all go to our sign up so that when we're going to be hosting dinners in every county and inviting all of the media teams and praying that we don't destroy my budget, but we're going to work it out. And so we want to create this community and help each other. And so I hope that you all will take that opportunity to do that. That being said, I think we have come to the end of our first Media Monday. I know that it has been a blessing to me, and I am pretty sure it's been a blessing to those who have been here. And so once again, Jamie, we want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you on the 27th of June
I'll
for
see
our
you
second
then.
installment.
Yep. All right, great. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Good night.